Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Skating from the Boards. Well, if you read my blog a couple of days ago or have read it yet this week, you probably noticed that I kind of love Christmas. We had a big snowstorm and the Grand Prix finals coming up, and we just passed Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas. For me, it's the most wonderful time of the year, bar none. Today, though, we're getting set for the Grand Prix final, which is one of those events in my best things list, and we will get set by sharing my fantasy skating picks one more time for the Grand Prix series. This week I'll share my picks in order of most predictable to least predictable, and in this case, the most predictable event should be the ice dance event. The Americans Meryl Davis and Charlie White should have a lock on gold, so they are my choice for the A-team pick on fantasy skating from US Figure Skating. Their biggest competition could be from the French team of Prix and Borzat, who have possibly the best free dance of anyone I've seen so far this year. But they still don't quite have all of the technical levels that Davis and White should have. And Meryl and Charlie have gone back and worked on a lot of things since their last event that wasn't exactly clean for them. So I think they have the edge here, and they're my A-team pick. And then in the B team, I went with the Russians, the team of Bobrova and Soloviv. They have looked really strong this year. They don't have the firepower to match up with the Davis and Whites of the ice dancing world, but they do have a lot going for them, and they have a very smooth, very clean style, and they look very trained, so they're my choice in the B team. The next most predictable event, I think, is probably going to be the pairs competition, because ultimately it comes down to the battle between Pang and Tong and Savchenko and Sulkawi. They're obviously the class of the field, and they've battled it out for seasons now. This season, Savchenko and Sulkawi have just a bit of an edge. They've scored higher, their season's best is a bit higher than Pang and Tong, and I think they've looked more secure in their skating, so they're my A-team choice for that reason. They just look more comfortable with their programs, more comfortable with their elements. Pang and Tong have some fantastic elements and fabulous programs. They just have looked a bit insecure at times, so my edge goes to the German team in the A category, and then in the B team I went with the Canadian team of Mortowers and Moscovich. Remember, they stepped in at the last minute to replace their teammates Jessica DeBay and Bryce Davison, who could not compete earlier this season, and they ended up winning a medal and ultimately earning their spot in the finale. So they have looked great. They're another team with a really great free skate. They're going to have to fend off some tough teams, a tough Russian team that has had success this season, as well as the young Chinese pair, Sui and Han. They gave up their chance to compete in the Junior Grand Prix final because they qualified for the senior event, but they still have some elements that are a little bit too high risk to be consistent. That quad throw is in there. It could go either way between these two teams, but I'm going with the Canadians on this one. For me this season, the men's event has been both the most exciting and the most controversial due to some scoring issues that we'll discuss at a later date. But the men's event here in Beijing could lend itself to more of that controversy, especially with the A-team selections for this competition. You've got Patrick Chan, who has been a bit of the center of the controversy this season. Then you have Takahashi and Oda in this category as well. Now, what a tough choice that is, because any given day, any one of these guys could lay it down and take it all. I gave the slight edge to Patrick Chan, and I know that I tend to be a bit of a Patrick Chan fan, say that 3 times fast, but I feel like he is getting the scores this season, right or wrong, that could give him a gold medal here. Plus, I think that he's taken a bit of heat I know he's taken a bit of heat for the wins that he's had so far, the medals that he's earned despite some pretty significant mistakes in his 2 Grand Prix competitions. So I feel like he's really going to need to put the pressure on himself to perform well and to land his jumps and include the quad, hit the triple axel, his nemesis. I don't know what it is, but I felt like I needed to give the edge to Chan in this category. We'll see if my gut feeling was right. And then in the B team, I went with Kazuka, the other man from Japan, and he's looked fabulous this season. He will be in this category with Amodio and Werner, who will have quite the battle between their long programs. Check my blog for a little more information on that. But I went with Kazuka here in the B team category. That leaves us with the most unpredictable event of the year, and no change here, that's the ladies' event. This one will certainly be interesting. I have a feeling it won't be entirely clean. Now, all of the ladies competing here in Beijing have the chance to do something spectacular. They have all that they need. They have all that it takes to be a well-rounded skater that puts a beautiful program on the ice, but no one's been entirely consistent. The most consistent player in this game right now has got to be Miki Ando, and she's skating injured. She doesn't have that flair, that artistry, the emotional impact of, say, an Alyssa Cisney or even her countrywoman Suzuki. She doesn't have all of that, but she does tend to hit the jumps, and when she hits the jumps, she scores well. So my A-team pick, I went with Miki Ando. She's come from behind both times she's won this season, and she's won both of her events, so she's coming in probably as what would be considered the favorite here. So I went with her in the A-team, and the B-team, you've got Alyssa Cisney, Carolina Kostner, and Kanako Murakami. Again, any given day, these girls could throw it down. Carolina Kostner is also competing injured. Murakami doesn't have all kinds of experience. Alyssa Cisney is a bit sporadic at times, but she has an incredible free program, and I gave her the edge in this category because not only has she done better with the jumps this season, but she has all the other elements. Her spins, her footwork, her spiral sequences, everything else that she does is spot on, and it's gorgeous, and it's technically difficult. So I gave her the edge, the slight edge in that category. So Miki Ando and Alyssa Cisney are my ladies' picks. And there we are. Grand Prix final picks made, submitted online and to you here, and cross your fingers to hope that they work out the way that I think they will. This will be an exciting competition. It's, of course, in Beijing. The time difference may make it a little bit difficult for me to be online around work and other craziness going on this weekend. So I'll be on Twitter as often as possible. I will be updating, checking in on things as often as I can, so follow me there. Don't forget to check the blog post-competition to see what my thoughts were there. Then we'll move on with the season. Nationals is just around the corner, and before you know it, we're way past halfway through the season. So it's getting close, but we're getting down to the time of the season where everybody's got to be at their best and they got to bring their A game. So hopefully that happens in Beijing, and it's a great competition. Side note. A little bit off track, but trust me, it ties back in. I have another YouTube channel that I post personal things, a lot of music stuff, and I recently put up a cover of Winter Song by Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson. If you remember, Michelle Kwan skated to that as an exhibition number in Yoona Kim's show in Korea last year, as well as in LA this summer. That was kind of my inspiration for learning the song and putting the video up there, so I will post a link to that video here if you feel like checking it out, and check out the blog later for more info from the skating world, and I'll see you then.